When you watch the night sky, what do you see? What if that same sky has been watching you back? What if every time you've gazed upward in wonder, something has been gazing down in return? And if this is true, who knows about it? And how long have they known? Tonight, we're going to explore something that has captivated humanity for generations. Something that bridges the gap between wonder and reality. Will you fall asleep? Maybe, maybe not. What matters is that for the next little while, you can let go of whatever's been racing through your head today. The deadlines, the worries, the endless mental chatter. Instead, we're going to ask one of the most important questions that there is. Are we alone? And if we aren't alone, how long have we known that? So, get comfortable. Take a deep breath. Let it out. Now, let's journey into the story of our universe. A story where the greatest revelation in human history may have already unfolded behind closed doors, while the rest of us were left staring at the stars, unaware that they might be staring back. And if that's the case, then the real secret isn't about them. It's about us. About whether we're trusted enough to know. Imagine this. It is 1974, and Ronald Reagan looks out the window of his private plane and sees more than starlight. As governor of California, he described a glowing object pacing his plane. The object was brilliant white, moving at impossible speeds. Reagan's pilot, Bill Painter, later confirmed the encounter lasted several minutes. What struck Reagan the most wasn't just what he saw, it was how it seemed to respond to their presence, as if aware it was being watched. He then diverted course to follow, but could not catch up. Years later, as president, Reagan spoke to the United Nations and mused aloud, "I occasionally think how quickly our differences would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world." Reagan was hinting at something. Perhaps a memory, perhaps a fear, or perhaps a truth too large to speak outright. So, we return to the paradox. We scan the heavens with telescopes and radio dishes, waiting for signs of life. Yet the most important evidence may not lie in distant galaxies. It may be locked away in filing cabinets, military archives, and briefings in guarded rooms. What does this mean exactly? Well, two stories exist side by side, one official, one whispered. Both stories are compelling. Most of the official narrative still tells us there's nothing to see. Government studies conclude reports are misidentifications, radar glitches, or weather phenomena. A shrug, a smile, and the case is closed. It's a comforting story, isn't it? It keeps the world predictable. It's a story we've been encouraged to believe. But there is another narrative, one that speaks of credible witnesses, decorated pilots, high-ranking intelligence officers, even heads of state, men and women who risk reputation and career to say that this phenomenon is real, and it has been hidden. And at the heart of these accounts lies one of the most persistent stories of all. The story goes like this. In 1954, President Dwight D. Eisenhower slipped away from his schedule, vanishing for several hours. Officially, it was said that he visited the dentist, but according to multiple eyewitness testimonies at Edwards and Holloman Air Force bases, he was meeting with beings who did not come from Earth. A story dismissed, buried, denied, yet one that refuses to die. The persistence itself tells us something. When a story survives decades of official denial, when witnesses stake their reputations on impossible claims, perhaps the impossible deserves a second look. Now, step back with me, out of the desert airfields, away from the locked filing cabinets. Step out into the cosmos itself. Our galaxy contains more than 400 billion stars. The observable universe? Well, that has over 2 trillion galaxies. That's more stars than grains of sand on every beach on Earth. Yet, imagine you're in a crowded city, but every window is dark, every street is silent. That's what space feels like to us. Too quiet for comfort. The improbability isn't that life exists elsewhere. It's that in all this vastness, we are somehow alone. And so, the silence we hear may not be emptiness. It may instead be the result of a hand pressed firmly over our ears. In this story, let us examine some of the accounts that escaped. Governments, of course, had to respond to this mystery. The public was asking questions. The military was reporting encounters. Something had to be done. In the United States, Project Blue Book investigated over 12,000 UFO reports from 1952 to 1969. Most were explained away as balloons, planets, aircrafts, or even illusions. But 701 cases remain stubbornly unidentified. Project Blue Book's scientific consultant, Dr. J. Allen Hynek, began as a firm skeptic. His job was to debunk. But as the years passed, he changed. He confessed that the Air Force was guilty of trivializing the subject, and that a small percentage of cases had no earthly explanation. And then came the Condon Report, a 1968 university study that declared UFOs were of no scientific value. The recommendation shut down official research for decades. The stigma it created lingers even now. So official study of the phenomena ended not with a period, but with a question mark. It left a silence, and into that silence, science offered its own powerful paradox. Behind all of this loomed a question older than the reports themselves: the Fermi paradox. If life in the universe should be common, why have we not found it? Perhaps life is rare. Perhaps civilizations self-destruct. Or perhaps they are already here and we are not permitted to know. Therefore, one of the biggest questions we need to ask is this: what if governments already know? Do they? General Nathan Twining, later chairman of the Joint Chiefs, wrote in 1947 that the ET phenomenon was something real and not visionary or fictitious. He described craft with extreme rates of climb and maneuverability. This was the beginning, a quiet, internal admission that something was going on. From that point, the official story and the private one would diverge, creating two separate streams of history, one for public consumption and one for the highest levels of power. In Canada, the former Minister of Defense, Paul Hellyer, declared in 2005 that governments were not only aware of extraterrestrials, but were collaborating with them on technology. From the United Kingdom, Lord Hill Norton, a former Chief of Defense and NATO chairman, insisted that UFOs were a genuine security concern and accused governments of covering them up. These aren't fringe voices. These are people who spent their careers protecting national secrets and are now risking everything to share this one. The Soviet KGB files of the late 1980s contain claims of a recovered craft on their soil. Even behind the Iron Curtain, the same impossible stories were being documented, filed away, and classified. In Brazil, in 1977, Operation Saucer investigated glowing orbs that harassed villagers in the Amazon, leaving burn marks on human skin. The Brazilian military took it seriously enough to deploy teams, conduct interviews, and take photographs. Their evidence filled multiple filing cabinets. From Moscow to Washington, from Brasilia to Ottawa to London, the chorus grew too loud to pretend it didn't exist. Secrecy began to feel less like an American quirk and more like a global agreement. As we have seen, even U.S. presidents were drawn into the story. Beyond Reagan's speeches and sightings, the Eisenhower meeting rumor has persisted for decades. Some even claim film footage exists, showing the encounter at Holloman Air Force Base. The story endures because multiple witnesses independently have described that same impossible day. Then, in 2017, the New York Times broke the story of the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. Suddenly, the words UFO and government program appeared in the same headlines. Navy videos were released, showing craft with no wings, no exhaust, performing maneuvers beyond human engineering. And then, in 2023, former intelligence officer David Grush testified under oath that the U.S. government possesses non-human craft and has been secretly attempting to reverse engineer them. One voice could be dismissed. A handful might be ignored. But when the pattern spans decades and continents, when it includes generals and ministers and intelligence officers, dismissal becomes harder to maintain. So, why the silence? Perhaps it's not a conspiracy of malice, but one of profound, paralyzing awe. How do you tell someone that the world is infinitely larger and older than they can imagine? Do you risk shattering the beautiful, fragile snow globe of their reality? The truth, perhaps, was deemed a fire that would not warm us, but instead would burn the house down. A revelation so profound, it could unravel our religions, reset our economies, and erase every border on the map overnight. As well, if technology millions of years ahead of us exists, whoever controls it controls the future. They might even control our future. And yet, if this is true, it suggests something profound. Secrecy is not simply about them. It is about us. It is a mirror held to our own readiness. Maybe the secrets aren't betrayal. Maybe instead it's a bridge, a careful crossing from one understanding to another. Maybe disclosure is not a single moment, a podium, a press conference, a flag unfurled, but is instead a gradual awakening. And maybe we are living inside it right now. Each leaked memo, each declassified report, each witness who steps forward may be less a revelation than a stepping stone, a slow acclamation, a gentle unsealing of a truth too large to reveal all at once. You cannot expose a lifetime of darkness to blinding light in an instant. You must allow the eyes to adjust. Perhaps the slow drip of declassified files, the gradual emergence of credible witnesses, the careful release of military footage. Maybe this is humanity's eyes adjusting to a much, much brighter reality. The question shifts then. It is not, what are they hiding? But instead, what are we ready to understand? What if this is not a cover-up, but a slow dawn? Look again at the stars. They are not empty. They are infinite, and they are showing us who we are becoming. Knowing we are not alone doesn't make us smaller. It makes us part of something vast, something shared. Every sunrise becomes more meaningful when you realize it's one of billions happening across the galaxy right now. Our conflicts, our borders, our divisions, they seem fragile against a canvas so infinite. And maybe that's the true gift of this mystery, to remind us that life itself is rare and precious, and that we are part of a cosmic story that stretches far beyond our imagining. The goal, then, is not to wait for a grand announcement on a television screen. The goal is to carry this sense of wonder with us. It is the gift of perspective. The knowledge that our daily struggles and our greatest triumphs are all playing out on a tiny, beautiful stage in a vast living theater. The universe itself seems unending, and so it would seem pure arrogance or ignorance to believe that we are all there is. Yet that doesn't make our lives less important. It just makes us a precious part of the greater whole. So tonight, as you look up at the sky, pay attention. The silence is not a refusal. It is an invitation. The universe is not empty. It is alive with questions. And in searching for our answers, we may finally come to see ourselves. If things are being hidden from us, maybe our goal should be to become the kind of civilization that is ready and willing to handle these greater truths without burning down. After all, we have faced our fears and kept going for millennia. And maybe, sooner than we think, we will have a chance to prove we can face this too. Well, if your eyes are still open, I hope your thoughts feel a little farther away from the noise. Thank you for listening. If tonight's story helped you slow down, I hope you subscribe. There's always another mystery to explore, and I'd love to share it with you. No matter what, I wish you peace and good thoughts. Good night, dreamers.